What's good, YouTube? That what I need to hear back again, once again. And today, I am your coach of the Tucson Terrakions in the United Championship League, aka the UCL. And we are here for our Week 12 team preparation video because this week we are going up against Christian, aka Fan Attacks, and the Manchester Magnezones. So if you guys are hyped, and of course if you're a proud member of the FB Nation, make sure you smash the like button down below for us because you already know your support is greatly appreciated. And as a heads up to you guys, I know we already had Tucson Terrakion shirts on sale this season so far, but we may have a few additional shirts going up for those of you guys that it might tickle your fancy that might be based around a few of the members on our team. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But either way, like I said, this week we're going up against the Manchester Magnezones, and their draft is a very, very interesting one. And so far this season for the Magnezones has not exactly been the most fruitful. They are actually 0-11 at this point, but that does not mean that we will be underestimating them. We are going to analyze and take them on and hopefully do the best that we can, because the last thing that we want to do is become the first win for them this season. I'm sorry, Christian, but after last week's defeat, we have to bounce back. Patters and his absolutely monstrous team and the misplays that I made gave us the W last week, and we can't have that happen again, especially with the final playoff slot, the final 2 playoff slots being debated by 3 teams, because if I'm not mistaken right now, Dan, aka A-Drive, and his abusive Mega Medicos has the #1 spot, Patters has the #2 spot after last week, and then myself, Shady, and Joey are all tied for the 3rd place slot. Now, technically, I guess you could say Joey's on the low end of that because me and Shady beat him. I think I saw a couple different fan-run UCL accounts, or not UCL accounts, UCL recap things. I don't know what the term is for it. They were saying different things like that. Personally, I don't care. In my opinion, all 3 of us are in the running for the last 2 spots, and we still have to fight Dan this season. So unless Joey and Shady lose again, which I don't see happening, it's a very, very narrow window for us to get into the playoffs. But either way, we're still going to try our hardest. When it comes to the Manchester Magnezones, their draft, they have Lopunny, Sableye, Mega Lopunny, might I add you, Sableye, and Magnezone as their OU picks. They have Florges, my baby Florges, Umbreon, Dumbreon, and Porygon 2 from UU, all straight bulk. Banette, Meloetta, and Clawitzer from RU. Electro, Lilligant, and Mightyena from NU. Now, they did have Xatu before, and for whatever reason, Christian traded Xatu to Patters and the Newcastle Nido-Kings for their Lilligant, which doesn't make any sense to me because that was the only Magic Bouncer or Spinner that the Magnezones had. Now, if we get Hazards up, they can't really do much, but I guess in hindsight, they really don't have too many things that get affected by Hazards that much. Maybe it'll help us whittle down their walls, maybe, I don't know, but either way, with their team being what it is, I actually sat down to team build, and for the first time, I think I'm finally taking the bits and pieces that Nexus and Joey have taught me through team building, and I started to craft a team before I even hit up Nexus. And I had about 3 or 4 mons put together, and then I hit up Nexus, and I was like, Nexus, I just need some sort of guidance from here on out. And we crafted what we feel like is the best team for us. So getting into it here on the Pokemon Showdown, we have Liability, our Crocodile. Of course, Liability, he's very near and dear to my heart. He had to be scooped up this week because Choice Scarf Moxie does a lot of work to the Manchester Magnezones team. If you look back at their draft, Earthquake and Crunch hit so many of their mons very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Very, very hard. It's going to be very difficult for them to stop Liability. That's why he's called Liability, in case you guys didn't know that. He's a liability for the other team. Oh, that's what you're anyways, Lopunny, Sableye, Magnezone, Florges, Umbreon, Porygon 2, Banette, Meloetta, Clawitzer, Electrode, Mightyena all get hit in one degree or another by Earthquake pretty hard. Of course, his bulkier mons like Umbreon and Porygon 2 are going to eat up a couple more hits before they go down. Everybody but the Lilligant takes at least some sort of damage from Earthquake or Crunch. Of course, factor in weaknesses and resistances. Knockoff is there just for the standard use of Knockoff. It's Stab as well. And then we have Fire Fang specifically for that Lilligant. Because if for whatever reason we get into a situation where we know Lilligant's going to come out, we can lock ourselves into Fire Fang and at least do something more. You know, if we're locked in a Knockoff and the Lilligant already has its item off, it might not be the world's best situation for us. And of course, Earthquake's not going to do much either, so we have the option of either Crunch or Fire Fang, and we started on Fire Fang because we really didn't need that last slot for anything else, especially when it comes to a Scarf Moxie set. We debated going Impish Intimidate, but really the only thing we need an Impish Intimidate Crook for would be the Lopunny, because I don't honestly see the Magnezones bringing the Banette. For whatever reason, they drafted regular Banette. Not Mega Banette, just Banette. I don't really see them bringing Banette. They might bring Mightyena, which Mightyena has Intimidate as well, so it'll just be Intimidate against each other, but everything else that they have on their team, for more or less, is a special attacker. Lilligant is generally special, Electro is generally special, Clawitzer can be run physical if you really want to be that guy, Swords Dance Crabhammer, but its Mega Launcher is more so special. Meloetta is another one of those mons that could be physical. Banette is physical, more so than special. Porygon 2 is special. Umbreon, again, it's just... You get the point that I'm making. So we have our regular standard Scarf, Moxie Crook, Earthquake Crunch, Knockoff Fire Fang, just for a bit of coverage. Max HP, not max HP, max attack and max speed, Jelly Nature with 4 in HP, just in case we want to live that hit or take that extra entry hazard damage. But up next we have Titania, our Mega Gardevoir. Again, I want to touch on one point that a few people made in the comment section a little while back. They were saying that they felt like we could have drafted a better Mega. Well, if you take a step back and look at it, maybe in a draft type format, it's not the most useful Mega, because Gardevoir's move pool isn't super duper diverse. But one main reason that I wanted to draft Gardevoir is because, believe it or not, Fairy type is incredibly OP. Because it's the newest typing introduced, it has a very limited amount of things that interact with it. What is it? It's Fire, Steel, Fighting, Dark. That's everything, right? That's everything that interacts with Fairy. Dragon, I forgot about that. So it's very limited. So when it comes to the opponent's team, they have to have those specific things, like fire or steel, to necessarily handle Gardevoir. And it's one of those nice things, because when it comes to an offensive mon, Mega Gardevoir hits the hardest, barring Xerneas, of course, or Arceus. But when it comes to OU and below, which we're dealing with, Mega Gardevoir hits like a truck. You guys saw it back in week 9, I think, when we lost to Nips. Mega Gardevoir clicked Hyper Voice and it tore through the Mamoswine. You know, we've had so many opportunities where Mega Gardevoir has come in and put in decent work. You know, if you guys remember the battle with Joey, when he had his Regenerator Tornadus, every time he brought it in, it was doing 50%. That was an Assault Vested Tornadus getting rocked by Hyper Voice. So I think some people might want to just think for a second, like, hey, wait a minute, maybe Mega Gardevoir actually is a monster. Of course, if it had like base 105 speed, it would be even just a little bit of a speed boost. It'd be so much better, because there's so many mons that are around that 100 area where if you're not running max speed, you will not outspeed, which kind of sort of sucks. But this week we decided to go all out offensive again. Max special attack, max speed, timid nature, 4 in HP, hyper voice, side shock, focus blast, and substitute. The reason that we're going with this set over anything tricky is because a lot of the Manchester Magnezones mons are walls. And we want to have a few wall breakers on the team to go in and just punch holes into their team and hit as hard as we can. When it comes to the special side, Gardevoir is here. Titania can come through. We can click Hyper Voice and do incredible damage to pretty much everybody on the Manchester Magnezones team except for the Magnezone itself. That's why we carry Focus Blast. And we learned last week, with a few HP investments, it can live a goddamn Focus Blast! So that's what ended up happening last week in the battle against Patrick. I spoke to him afterwards, and he said that he did have HP investments in his Magneton, which I didn't account for the damage count, which I don't know why I didn't. You know, I tell you guys all the time, believe the intro to the Wi-Fi battles. I am not the world's greatest Wi-Fi battler, and people give me too much credit than I deserve, but I just try my best. That's all I can say. But still, the Focus Blast is there for the Magnezone in case he decides to do anything with it. And once the Magnezone falls, I can safely click Hyper Voice and tear through so many of their mons. Florges is there as well, which could end up being a problem when it comes to Hyper Voice and Focus Blast, but that's why we carry Side Shock. Now, Bold Florges is starting to become a thing in UU. Well, not starting to become a thing. It's been a thing in UU. You run max defense Florges because the special defense is already off the charts, so you can live hits. But I still feel like a Side Shock will end up hitting Florges harder than a Psychic would. So that's why we have that on there. We have Substitute on the off chance that we can send Gardevoir in and get somebody out and force a swap, like perhaps Clawitzer or Mightyena or Meloetta, or well, Meloetta maybe, Umbreon, or the Lopunny, or the Sableye. We can try and get him to force somebody out we can predict to go for a substitute. And at that point, like I said, everybody but the Magnezone on their team gets rocked by a Hyper Voice in one way or another. It does crazy work, crazy damage. So Titania was definitely someone that we're going to have to lean on this week when it comes to the battle. Up next, we have Canada, our Chancy. This was another, I don't want to say no-brainer, but I looked at the Manchester Magnezones' most defensive mods. Florges, Umbreon, Porygon 2, Sableye. And Sadie is standing here crying. What's wrong, baby? Get up there. Get up there and sit down. She, like, walks over to me, and she sits there like this. And just stares at me like she's trying to light the back of my head on fire or something. I'm like, what do you want? Go sit down, please. And look at her. Now she's okay. She's just sitting. Anyways, I looked at the Manchester Magnezones' most defensive mons, being the Florges, the Umbreon, and the Porygon Z, and potentially the Sableye as well. And none of them could touch Chancy. That's the biggest thing. What's Florges going to do to a Chancy? Toxic it? You can go for a Moonblast and lower my special attack. If you carry Psychic, you can try and lower my special defense, which is already off the charts as it is. What's Umbreon gonna do? You're gonna foul play a Chancy with that powerful base 5 attack? You know, you're gonna toxic a Chancy. The risk is still there for a setup mon to come through. You know, if you have Curse Umbreon or Calm Mind Sableye or something like that, that he could potentially set up against Chancy. That's why we carry Toxic. So at the first sign of a setup, we can Toxic and handle it from there. We decided to rock Aromatherapy this time so that we're not forced to swap out to heal a status ailment. So we have Soft Boiled, Seismic Toss, Toxic, and Aromatherapy. Toxic is there so that we can touch the Sableye, the Bayonet if he decides to bring it, and it's to help us deal with his potential walls as well. Because like I said, when it comes to his walls, even if they want to set up, Chancy can eat up hits from them. I can hit them right back with a Toxic and then just Soft Boiled Toxic spam away until we can whittle down those walls, which is what we ideally want to do. So, Chancy is as standard as it gets, max HP, max defense, 4 in special defense, bold nature, so we can live them hits and do what we need to do. Up next, we have Scrub, and Scrub the Flygon is another wall breaker this week. After its stellar performance in week 10, I think, against the Philadelphia Feraligators, where Scrub absolutely just outraged and got pissed and took out mons left and right, goddammit! I've been itching and straining to use Scrub again, and Scrub did not have the best showing last week, but hopefully this week is different. We are rocking Jolly Choice Bandit, max attack, max speed, 4 in HP. Earthquake, Outrage, U-Turn, and Fire Punch. This is a similar situation with Liability, where we're carrying Fire Punch specifically for the Lilligant, which I wouldn't put it past the Manchester Magnezones to bring because of how notorious Cindy is. And you guys may notice Cindy's nowhere to be found. Cindy's out on injury. She's been taking a break. She's been relaxing, and hopefully she comes back for the end of the season, but when it comes to Flygon, we outspeed a lot of the mons on the Manchester Magnezones team, barring a Scarf Magnezone, which he'd have to run HP Ice or some sort of HP to hit us. I mean, a Flash Cannon would still hurt, but we can stop a Volt Switch, we can stop a Thunderbolt, we can do what we need to do. We can stop a Thunder Wave with it as well. Pretty much the Electrode is the only thing that I think, Electrode and Lopunny, I think, are the two things that outspeed us the most, because I think Meloetta is base like 98 or something like that. Let me look it up right now. What is Meloetta's base speed? What is Meloetta's base speed? Oh, I take that back. Wait. It's base 90 in its Aria form, and then once it uses Relic Song, it's 128. So, if we can catch it before it Relic Songs, of course, which I'm not sure. Does Meloetta revert back to its regular form if you take it off the field? I don't know. I've never battled with or against a Meloetta before. I think David used a Meloetta in a free-for-all once, but it's just a free-for-all. It's not serious. So, I don't know. I'm not sure how that mechanic works. Because if Keldeo or Shaman and them change forms, but it's based off of a move. I don't think you have to Relic Song each time that you come out. So that would seem a little obnoxious. So I don't know. If he does end up changing forms, then we'll have to accommodate that and go from there. But with our Flygon, we outspeed everything on his team except for the Electrode, of course. Electrode's the fastest Gen 1 Pokemon, in case you didn't know. And Lopunny as well. Barring any Choice Scarf users, Flygon safely outspeeds them. And very similar to Titania, once the Magnezone goes down, we are free to click Outrage. Well, actually, I take that back. The Magnezone and the Florges, we are free to click Outrage on anything on his team, and it's doing decent damage. I think Umbreon might be the best bet that he has to eat up a hit. Umbreon and Porygon 2, perhaps. But literally, we can click Outrage and do decent damage, take a chunk away from anybody. This is another one of our wall breakers on the team. But still, Earthquake is going to touch the Magnezone. If he's not Air Balloon, Earthquake's tearing through the Magnezone. It's going to do crazy damage. A Banded EQ to Florges is doing crazy damage. It's just, in order to stop this Flygon, you're going to have to rely on the Umbreon and the Porygon 2 to really eat the hits the most. Of course, like I said, the chance of Lilligant being there is a thing. That's why we have Fire Punch. U-Turn is also a viable option, and Outrage does the work too. But if he's predicting an Earthquake and goes out to Lilligant and take the hit, I can safely click U-Turn or Fire Punch and do the damn thing. So Scrub will be joining us again this week. Up next, we have Blue Note, our Lucario, who we haven't seen in a little while. When's the last time we brought Blue Note? Was it against Joey? Let's go and check. When's the last time we brought Blue Note? I think it was. Blue Note's last appearance was against Joey and the Bronx Beartic. So we are rocking out with Blue Note here, who is, yet again, another wall breaker. We are trying our hardest to punch through these walls that they have, god damn it. Blue Note is here, Life Orb, Jolly Nature, with 4 HP, 252 attack, 252 speed, max attack, max speed, 4 HP. Same reason we put HP for Crocodile, so on the off chance we can live that hit or survive that crit. But he's got Close Combat, Iron Tail, Extreme Speed, and Swords Dance, and we decided not to go for Bullet Punch because I think even at +2, let me damage calc it real quick. Because I think the damage calc should show up for you guys. Let me damage calc it real quick. Let's see. Lucario, Life Orb, Attacker. And I'm going to leave this at Adamant Nature as well. Let's go ahead and slide in Bullet Punch real quick. And let's check out Florges. This is Bold Nature, Max Defense. Bullet Punch. Oh, wait. That's level 100. Hold on. Bullet Punch is only doing, that's Adamant Nature, Life Orb. Bullet Punch to a Bold Florges is only doing 52% max. Florges is bulky as fuck. That's why I love Florges so much. In before the people leave comments saying, I don't know why an Epi doesn't like Umbreon when Florges does the exact same thing. I just don't like the Pokemon. Can you just accept that? Let me be me. If you don't like Gengar, then don't like Gengar. I think it's funny because people always do that too. When I say, oh, I don't like this Pokemon, they're like, oh, well, I hate Gengar. Okay. Okay, what does Gengar have to do with anything? You're just saying that because I like Gengar. It's like a personal attack towards me. I don't care if you don't like Gengar. That doesn't change the fact that I do. And the fact that I dislike such and such Pokemon shouldn't change the fact that you like them either. It's a free world. Do what you want. But if we factored into Jolly Nature, which is what we are, Bullet Punch only does 48%, and even sitting at +2, Bullet Punch doesn't even OHKO. So that's with one Swords Dance up, Bullet Punch doesn't kill. But as you can clearly see with Iron Tail, it does the work and tears through this Florges. So even with Jolly Nature, Life Orb, if he tries to predict a close combat, we can still get off crazy damage to the Florges. That's bold, max HP, max defense, and then an E-Speed at that point will finish it off. So that is why we run Iron Tail and not Bullet Punch. And E-Speed, of course, at the same time, does more damage to everything else across the team as well. So we have Close Combat, Iron Tail, Extreme Speed, Swords Dance. This is another one of those situations like with Titania, our Mega Gardevoir, where if we get the chance to go for a Swords Dance, then that's amazing for us. We're just going to hope and pray that we don't do the same thing we did, was week 4 against Leo, and swap out on +4 Lucario like I now have. But hopefully, we get the chance to set up a Swords Dance. If so, then we are definitely tearing through a couple of the Manchester Magnezones Mons. The only downside to this is Iron Tail is the only thing that we have to touch the Banette and the Sableye. So we have to hope and pray that Iron Tail's powerful 75% accuracy is enough to get the job done, because even against that Florges, those calcs that we just ran, a Moonblast or a Psychic does like half to Lucario. So we have to hope and pray, knock on wood, that Iron Tail hits. I guess if I'm at +2, I could try and go for an E-Speed. I would say if there's already damage on the Florges, and I know that I can live a hit, I might try and go for an E-Speed, just because. But Iron Tail, like I said, the only downside to it is its accuracy, and it would suck for us to miss an Iron Tail. We've run Iron Tail once before this season. I think it was when we faced Mo and the Toronto Togekiss. We ran Iron Tail on liability, and the Iron Tail landed then. So hopefully the Iron Tail will land now and get the job done and help us get out the win. Last but not least on the team, we have Mrs. Puff, our Quillfish. Mrs. Puff, the Quillfish. We are running Lax Nature this week because we have a mixed Quillfish. Now, normally if we have a mixed Quillfish, we'd run a Relaxed Nature. But we needed the speed investment because of the Florges. We had a relaxed natured Quillfish before, and we had to find ourselves. We were outsped by the Florges by like 2 points or something like that. And we were like, no one runs speed investments in a Florges, so we shouldn't have to worry about overshotting it too much. But at the same time, we were like, it doesn't make any sense for us to take investment away from another area and put it into speed and have a speed reducing nature as well. So me and X were looking around and we were like, well, let's run Lax Nature because it lowers special defense. We're not really too worried about that as it is because it's our physical wall, or one of our physical walls, and we're Lax Nature, so we still get the defense and we can still run a mixed Quillfish as well. So we have 252 in HP, 252 in defense, 4 in special attack because we do carry Scald. Scald is here not to do damage but to get burns. On the off chance that he decides to go out to Florges, we can click Scald and hopefully get a burn. That'll help whittle it down a little bit more. Same with the Umbreon, same with the Porygon. It would kind of suck against the Umbreon because it carries Synchronize, but still it would be nice to get something that'll help us whittle down those walls. Same with the Mega Lopunny. That's the main reason that Mrs. Puff is here, because we are Intimidate, we are carrying Rocky Helmet as well, so we can get a little bit extra chip damage off, and we have Thunder Wave, so that hopefully we can Thunder Wave the few threats that he does have on his team, like the Lopunny, like the Meloetta, like the Clawitzer, like the Florges, like the Porygon 2, and if anything does end up happening to Mrs. Puff, we do still have Aromatherapy on Chancy to clear out those problems. We originally weren't going to run Poison Jab, but I politely point out to Nexus that there's a Florges over there. Florges is going to eat up all of our hits. We have to have something that's super effective. So we decided to slap on Poison Jab. Poison Jab does like 50% to Florges. And Psychic in return does like 70% to us. That is why the speed investment was so vitally important. At this point, I think we outspeed Florges, even with no speed investment, by like 10 points. So we should be good to go in outspeeding. Toxic Spikes are there because he has no one to get rid of them. He doesn't have a poison type. The Manchester Magnezones don't have a poison type to get rid of them. So we can set up the Toxic Spikes, and again, that's another one of those things where we can just whittle down the walls that they have. Whittle down the offensive presence that they have. Because if we can get through the Lopunny, the Magnezone, and the Meloetta, everything else we can handle one way or another. Those are the 3 biggest threats to our team. The Mega Lopunny, the Magnezone, and the Meloetta. Those are the 3 biggest offensive presence that they have. When it comes to the Electrode and the Clawitzer, they both hit very, very hard along with Lilligant, but I feel like in one way or another we can handle them and do what we need to do to get past them, which is the same as handling them. That's whatever. Anyways, that is our team preparation this week for the Manchester Magnezones. Again, I'm hoping that the best comes out of this because we need to bounce back and pick up a few more W's before the end of the season, because we do still have a few really, really big uphill challenges. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we have to take on Luke and the Bristol City Blazekins next week, and whether he knows it or not, or whether he's been utilizing them properly or not this season, he has a very, very, very scary draft. I'm talking Mecha Scizor, Thundurus, Suicune, Dragonite, Ambipom, Roserade, Azelf. Very, very scary draft that we have to get through. Jay and the Carolina Keldeos are after that. They again have a very scary draft with Sylveon, Zygarde, Mega Blastoise, Victini, Honchkrow, Sneasel, and last but not least we have Dan and the St. Louis Rampardos, who Mega Metagross. That's all I have to say. Mega Metagross, Mega Metagross, Mega Metagross, Mega Metagross, Mega Metagross. So either way, tomorrow's, or this week's UCL battle, I should say, will be up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. If you guys enjoyed our team preparation video, and of course if you're a proud member of the Happy Nation, make sure you smash the like button down below for us, because you already know your support is greatly appreciated. We are almost to the end of Season 1. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Of course, let me know any changes you'd make to the team or any other suggestions you might have in the comment section below. But with that, I'm gonna get about. Thank you all so much for your support, and thank you for checking out the video. You know me, 2.